What up, what up, what up?
On this episode of Seeking Wisdom, we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics, work-life balance, and the myth of work-life balance.
Shit don't exist.
All right, so we're going to talk about work-life balance, something that I bet everybody listening has thought about, thinks about, talks about. And, you know, especially today, it's harder than ever, right? We have Slack, we have email, we have jobs that it doesn't matter if we're in the office. We can always work at different times. But we want to change the way that you think about work-life balance because you said it doesn't exist. It's not a real thing.
It doesn't exist. I think it's the myth that everyone always chases. It's the unicorn that we want but doesn't exist.
So the first thing when talking about work-life balance is to just, maybe this is like a Stephen Covey thing where you change your paradigm, right? Change the map of what work-life balance is, first of all. And so I think maybe if you first understand that it's impossible, that'll change the perspective.
Yeah, and especially if you read Medium these days, I think this is where everyone writes about work-life balance on the daily. You see that I think the paradigm shift for me and that is thinking about it at the macro level. So take it up a level, take it up many levels, and then work-life balance kind of makes sense in that high level. But I think people get too focused, too obsessed with trying to optimize every last inch of everything, and you see this on Medium all the time. And they try to optimize every hour to be balanced, every day to be balanced, and I think that is impossible.
So they think that basically that would mean you show up at work at 9, you do only work from 9 to 5, you leave right at 5, and you go home and you hang out with your family and your kids, and you don't think about work, and then that's like what the...
That's the myth. That's the myth, that you have these very clear lines that fit well inside of an Excel table, right, that say like from this time to this time, and not 1 minute over do I work, and then this is my personal time, and this is the amount I allocate towards friends, et cetera, and we all know that's impossible. But people try to chase that every day.
Yeah, and you wrote a post on this that we'll link to in here, but basically one of the things is like if you think about it that way, you're just going to make yourself absolutely fucking miserable.
Mm-hmm. Because you have to think, if you think that way, then you're thinking like, I have to be the perfect parent, I have to be the perfect team member, I have to be the perfect husband or wife, I have to be the perfect everything.
Yeah. So you've kind of found like a little hack for this, and it's funny because the hack is not the right word, but it's what it is. Mm-hmm. And your whole work-life balancing is just, it's not work-life balance, it's just prioritization. Talk about what you've done.
Yeah, it's about prioritization and just accepting that things will ebb and flow, and that at the macro level, things will balance out. And so, you know, my priorities are very simple, right? I prioritize my family, myself and my health, my friends, and then I prioritize work, kind of in that order.
Yeah.
And
but people say, whoa, you're a startup founder, you're trying to build this big company, how are you going to put yourself last?
Yeah. How am I going to put the company last? Because those things I can't be a good person at work if I'm not focusing time on my family and not focusing time on my own personal health.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to, this is something that's changed for me recently, which is like working in an environment where it doesn't matter if I show up at 9 o'clock or 9:15 or 10 or 8:15. It doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter.
What's more important, like I know that like I have a morning routine. Like I like to go to the gym, right? Yep. And so now, because of that, that's the way that we think here. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing for me. And so it doesn't matter if I come in at 9. If I take care of myself in the morning, I'm way more productive during the day. And so it doesn't matter if I show up at 9:15, right?
Yep.
If I got my thing in, I got my gym in, then I'm not spending the entire day thinking about, oh my God, how am I going to prioritize my health? And like it's already done.
Already taken care of. And you did the right thing. You stacked things in the right order there. And I think, that's the key. You have to stack them in the right order. We like to think about, and I kind of think about us at Drift as our ethos is kind of work hard, play hard, right? So like when you're here, like crush it, work hard, and then when you're not here, actively crush it, whether that's it with your family or that's personal time or that's working out, whatever you like go do it to the max, right? Yeah. No half-stepping.
But you also say like you want to find people who, it doesn't mean you're working all the time, but like
Correct.
somewhere you're out, like you're with your family, you're going for a run, you're at the beach, but like you actually care about the problem that we're solving here. And so you're still thinking about it. You're never like it's never turned off.
Yeah, because, and that to me is about caring, right? Finding people who care about what they do. And if you do, then you can't fully turn it off, and you shouldn't try to, because if you can fully turn it off, then it's probably hard for you to come back to work, right? You come back to work because you need a paycheck, or you need to get here, or because it's 9 a.m. and so I have to be here.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone to have to come to work because they feel like they have to. You want to come to work because you care about what you're doing and you're passionate and you want to focus and kill that.
Do you think as a CEO and like as a founder, do you have to set the tone and do that? Like, do you have to lead by example and show that there is this work-life balance, or does that not matter?
I think it matters, especially in the maybe in all sizes. I think it does matter, and so I think I have to set the tone. I don't know if I do a great job at setting the tone, right? And that's okay. I'm always trying to improve. So sometimes maybe I work too much, or I'm around too much, or not. I don't know. I don't know how people see me, but I know that I'm striving towards setting that example.
The other thing that I think we talk about a lot that might have it has a huge impact on work-life balance and prioritization is the big rocks.
Yes.
Like it's
huge.
It is funny how we talk about this stuff so much, and they all kind of like
they
all play together,
yep.
right? And so work-life balance, I think, is easier if you have the priorities right.
Yep. I think they're so. I think we've never talked about it this way.
Yeah.
But they're so intertwined. If you're focused on the big rocks, on the big things that you have to do each day to move the ball forward, whether that's in your health or at work or in your personal life or family life, whatever it is, then you're naturally going to prioritize the right thing and probably spend the right amount of time on that. And then people who focus too much on the small rocks are usually the people who are, and those are things that are not material, that are not moving the company or yourself forward, probably spend a lot of time trying to achieve this elusive balance and try to fill their day with lots of small rocks that they can fit, again, in their spreadsheets and their to-do lists or whatever, chock full of little small rocks that actually aren't meaningful.
The big rock thing also, it kind of unlocks like this whole other level of freedom too, I think, right? If you say, okay, here's my one thing for the day, or here's my one thing for the week. Once you get, if I say, okay, right now I'm working on a marketing plan for our Zapier integration, right? That's my thing I set the next 2 days.
Yep.
If I got that done,
awesome.
Great.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I'm like, my wife texts me and she's like, hey, you want to meet up for a drink at 4:00? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go do that.
That's awesome. Someone texts me to go to drinks at 4:00.
It's not going to actually happen.
Yeah, not going to happen for me.
But the point of that is like it just goes back to prioritization, which is.
And big rocks was new for you. So how do you think about big rocks?
It's hard. I still struggle with it every day because I feel like I make a list that is 10 big rocks.
Yeah.
But I've just noticed that the feeling that I get and the quality of work is so much better when I just pick one thing.
Yep.
And so the new thing that I've been doing lately is every Sunday, whether it's Sunday morning or Sunday night, just depends on when I'm around, I actually try to plan out my week. And it doesn't work for me. I'm not a person. I can't put time on my calendar and that says at 1:00 I'm going to write this thing, right? I'm working on this content thing, and at 1:00 on Tuesday, that's when I'm going to write it. I know a ton of people do that. Like we talked to Noah Kagan, he does that.
Yep.
For me, that just hasn't worked because I just need to do work like when it happens and when it feels right. And what would end up happening is I'd put the time on my calendar for 1:00 and I'd just do it earlier.
I think what you're experiencing is more normal, and I think that's why people try to be more like Noah, right? Try to put themselves on a schedule, and I think you really need to listen to yourself and your body and know when it's right and you have that feeling.
Yeah.
And but I think that's scary for people because it's hard to measure. And just like you focusing on big rocks versus small rocks is when it's working, you feel it, and it's hugely empowering for you. But you still struggle with maybe having too many big rocks. So how do you know when it's right? You just feel it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because some of like the stuff that's been most successful for us, like on the marketing side of things, I've written at like midnight on a Saturday. Yep. Right? Just it doesn't matter at all when it happens.
Or off the cuff.
Yeah. Just when it comes to you, just do it. You just drop everything and do it, and now your whole week has shifted. So yeah, now I write out like every Sunday night I write like 4 to 5 things, the big goals that I want to get done. for the week. And that just keeps me level set, right? It's like, if you don't do anything this week, you got to get these 4 things done.
Yeah. And there's an important thing there that you mentioned, which was, there are sometimes things come up and you just jump on them. And those have been some of our bigger things as well.
Yeah.
And like 2 words I'm saying a lot to people who are in the other side of putting everything on a list is cognitive load. And I keep saying cognitive load. I was saying that to one of our designers, Elise, recently, because we were talking about some little tiny minor change that we've been talking about for a long time. And she was checking, what Trello card it was on and what list and prioritizing this and that and moving. And I just kept saying to her, cognitive load. And she was like, what? I'm like, it would have been faster to do the thing that we've been talking about than all the energy of putting it on lists and moving it on lists and prioritizing and moving in this. Sometimes you just got to be able to use your gut and say, I'm just going to do this right now. It's on no list, but I'm going to do it right now. It's going to be easier for me to do it right now than to put it on some freaking list.
Yeah, and those are the things that after you do them, like you feel, there's certain things that you do and they feel amazing after you've done them, and those are the types of things.
Yep, totally.
You had an idea, you just completely blew up your day and you just worked on it.
Yeah, because you spend so much time on this load thing. Even if you put it on a list, now you have to remember that it's on a list. Now you're thinking about it, when you shouldn't be thinking about it. Oh, like I got to get back to that thing. And it's like, wow, you just spent more mental energy, burned it, than just doing the thing.
Right. And just, I think having a plan, I get buried in lists too, but I think having a plan has had a huge thing. So the Sunday night thing, I write out stuff, but then I'll just pick one thing. Like what would make Monday, what would make today
amazing,
a successful day, right? If I got this one thing done. And then it's an amazing feeling if you get that thing done and then it's noon and you're like, wow, cool. Okay, now I can do whatever.
Yep. Everything.
Get the next thing.
Is set.
It's set. So the big rocks just really align everything. The other thing I wanted to bring up with you, this is kind of related, that was unlocking is a book that you said you kind of revisit every year, which is Peter Drucker.
Yes. Managing Oneself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little book. It's kind of like a pamphlet, really. Yeah. And everyone should buy it. It costs $5, I think.
Like 30 pages.
Yeah, it's 30 pages long, and you can revisit it. And it's just like the title says. It's a book about not managing others, but learning to manage yourself. And everything in there you probably know at some level. But every time I recommend that book to someone or I reread it myself, something new pops out of that little 30-page pamphlet.
Can you guess what the big thing the thing that changed me from that book?
Good question. No.
You can't?
No.
It was, he has a line, I forget exactly line, but it was like, stop spending time on things that you aren't good at.
Yes.
And it seems so fucking obvious.
Yeah.
But that was like a complete game changer for me because, and his whole point is like, it's going to take you longer to get from not good at something to mediocre for something brand new than if you just focus on something you're already good at and try to get great at it. So that's just completely changing. Like, whether it's you're not, math isn't your thing or you're not a spreadsheet person or like design isn't your thing. Like just forget about that stuff.
It's so obvious but so hard. This is why Dave's ahead of the ball because he read that and that book is so important and he got it. It took me like a decade to figure that out.
Well, that's the one thing. I'm sure there's other things.
Yeah. It took me a decade to figure that out the hard way of just repeatedly trying to get better at things that I wasn't naturally good at, and then just figuring out like I'm only ever going to be mediocre at any of these things.
What's something that you stopped trying to get better at?
Oh yeah, managing things on lists. Back to that.
yeah,
definitely. I saw I read every book, GTD this and that, and I tried every system and to-dos and whatever, and I just kept putting more stuff on lists and organizing and geeking out about the list. I talk about this stuff because I fall into the trap just like everyone else, and I have to remind myself. And then I realized I'm never going back to these lists. I'm never using these lists, and I just don't think this way. And so I had to throw it away. But that was an area that I saw everyone around me who had personalities that were good at the list building thing, or at least on the surface it looked that way. Now I can look back and think like they weren't actually very effective. They were just good at list making.
Yeah, I think that 90% of the stuff that I write down, I don't ever go back to.
Same. And I think it's good to write it down. I'm not against writing it down. It's just don't get obsessed or panicked or anxious about doing it. Writing it down is awesome because you get it out of your brain.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, work-life balance. It's
not true.
Change your mindset.
Yes.
It's not true.
It doesn't exist, and I think we need to stop chasing it, and you're going to be a lot happier once you do.
Cool. That's a good wrap for today.
Let's wrap it.
What do we want to tell the people to do, though? We need reviews.
We need reviews. Come on, you're holding back. I keep hearing a lot of people. I keep getting emails about people listening to the podcast week after week, and I know, I'm talking to you. You're not reviewing. Let's get a 5-star review.
Awesome. Yeah, leave a review. The easy way to do it, you can just go to our website, seekingwisdom.io. And if you write a review, we're going to show you on that page, too.
That's right. We're going to put your lovely photo on that page.
Cool.
See ya.
All right.